Right now, it is a Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash. ESPN's national reporter Sal Paolantonio joins me live on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Sal Pal, what's up, my man?
Oh, I love a Sal Pal Friday on the Mike Gill show. It smells like the football season coming, but we hope it arrives on time.
Yeah, we do hope it arrives on time, and I want to start with that from you with the comments from Roger Goodell recently, who basically said, "Look, we're going to plug along. We're going to keep on going." And I know a lot of people have some mixed reviews on that, but do you like the message?
Of course I like the message. You know, people want to get back to work. People want to go back to life as normal as possible. Obviously, we want to do it in a responsible way. We want to make sure people can watch football games healthy. I think initially you will see the NFL start to roll out slowly sometime in the middle of the summer. I don't think training camps will be open, Mike. I don't think it'll be open to much of the media either. I think you'll see pool reports and things like that and players made available on video conferencing and things like that. I don't think you'll see much media. I think they'll play maybe one or two preseason games at most. And then I don't think those games will be in front of fans either. In fact, I don't think the initial season will be in front of fans because the Dr. Fauci and the others on the health side of President Trump's task force are saying that, there's going to have to be some kind of proof of health for people to go back to work, for people to go to the theater, for people to go to restaurants. People are going to have to be tested everywhere they go.
Yeah, I know that it seems ambitious, but it's also crazy to think that by September that we wouldn't have the normalcy that we all kind of, crave. I mean, that's still just think about a whole summer down the Jersey Shore still left to be potentially had, that we would still be talking about the potential of no football. But you mentioned it. They might not be able to get the training camps up and running on time.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it. Obviously, I'm somebody who loves the Jersey Shore for the last 25 years of my life. Have spent time down there with my wife and children and family. And I just hope that Governor Murphy figures out a way to open up the shore towns this summer, because that would be more devastating than 5 Hurricane Sandys if they didn't open up the Jersey Shore.
It's something that we think about often working and living down here, man, is the potential of the summer basically being on lockdown, which does not make us feel very safe or good.
Oh, I don't see how you could do that. I honestly don't. I would think long and hard before you would do that. You would destroy a multi-billion-dollar community.
Oh, I agree with you, and I hope that it doesn't come to that. And then, I don't know, each day, you see, what is your thoughts on this Major League Baseball plan? The one that ESPN rolled out, Jeff Passan, your colleague there, about playing in Arizona. Now, today, Bob Nightingale at the USA Today rolled out one that had the Grapefruit League teams playing in the Grapefruit League and the Arizona teams playing in the Cactus League, and that basically that would be the 2 divisions this year. So the Phillies and the Yankees would be in the same division.
I think it's whatever you have to do, you have to be flexible. And you got to crawl before you walk, before you run. So let's get the players together sometime in June where you have controlled workouts in a controlled environment, a mini spring training, and you do it like that. The Grapefruit League on one side and the Arizona League on the other, whatever it looks like. I think that's important. You play some games, you get them on television. Again, you wouldn't have fans, you wouldn't have media. You'd have the Sunday Night Baseball crew basically calling the game from Bristol, Connecticut. It's been done before. You wouldn't even have broadcasters in the stadiums, I don't think. I don't think you would. And I think you would have fewer umpires on the field. I think everything would be pared down, shaved down to make sure that it's healthy. Obviously, you'd have training staff, coaches. Even the coaching staffs would have to be reduced. You'd have to have social distancing in the dugout as much as you possibly could, social distancing in the clubhouses. You do everything possible to try to get it to where you could play. I think that's what you have to do. And then after you have a couple of mock games and you put them on television and you see how people do and you have constant testing, then you try to roll out a season of maybe 50 games. I could see a season of 50 games.
Now, one of my favorite times ever doing this show, just on a completely different note, but it has to do with Clearwater, is I was doing the show. I don't know if you remember this. I was in Clearwater, and on the set was Sal Pal and Jason Stark. And I, as the host of the show, I just gave it to you two guys interviewing each other. It was one of the best moments of the show I think I've ever had.
Yeah, I love Clearwater, and I certainly missed it this year.
Oh,
how we really got together, though, was at the draft. That was the first thing that really kicked it off for me on your show, was the draft. And to segue to that for a second, I just got in last night over my email from a source, something that's pretty interesting, and I haven't put it out at all before I put it out on your show. It is a position-by-position breakdown of all of the players that the Eagles have shown a serious interest in. Let me give you some of insight as to what I uncovered last night. What was sent to me is pretty interesting. First, no shock, the position that they have looked at and met with players and talked about more than any other is wide receiver. They have looked at 15 wide receivers. They met with 10 wide receivers at the Combine in Indianapolis, more than double any other position group. Met at the Combine with Gabriel Davis of UCF. Met with John Hightower of Boise State. K.J. Hill, Ohio State. Of course, Justin Jefferson of LSU. They met with him, and he's the guy that both Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. had the Eagles taken at 21. They met with Jawan Jennings of Tennessee. They met with Denzel Mims of Baylor. And you go on, and they met with, obviously, Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama. They'll have no shot at getting him. So they had a heavy focus, obviously, on wide receiver. Check this out. They showed interest in 4 quarterbacks.
Wow. It's funny. I brought that up yesterday because they took the kid Thorson last year, and he didn't make the team. And Roseman has said in the past that he likes to get a quarterback every other year.
Right, and I don't know if they'll draft one this time. I don't think they'll make that same mistake, but I think that they will somewhere along the line, maybe as an unrestricted free agent draftee, a prospective draftee who didn't get drafted, they will find a way to get an extra quarterback on the roster, without a doubt.
Yeah.
They looked at a lot of centers.
That's another spot. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I brought up yesterday about what do they do with Sayamalo? Do they look at him as the successor to Kelsey, or has he become Lane Johnson where, we just like him as a guard and we need to find a new heir apparent at center?
Well, they met with 3 centers at the Combine, Lloyd Cushenberry of LSU. They met with Nick Harris of Washington. I don't want him because he's my feeling on West Coast players.
Pac-12, baby.
And they met with Matt. I'd rather have Matt Hennessy of Temple. They met with him at the Combine. So, when you look at the Eagles last year, right, they had obviously quite a success with their offensive line over the years. They had 3 players go to the Pro Bowl, but they also had the oldest starting offensive line in the National Football League last year. And they also looked at, here's another thing too, they looked at 5 offensive tackles. Not for nothing, Mike Gill, I'm not sold on Andre Dillard being the heir apparent to Jason Peters. I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm up in the air. You're right. I mean, I when he played right tackle last year, he was completely unprepared, and I hated him saying, well, I've never really done it before. And it was, he almost seemed like, I don't want to learn this. I only want to do what I'm comfortable with, and that kind of scared me a little bit. I thought when he played left tackle that he seemed better, but he certainly didn't seem like a guy that you trade up for and give up draft capital for.
Yep, no question. And they met with 3 running backs at the Combine. Raymond Calais of Louisiana Lafayette, obviously that would be one that Doug Peterson would be interested because, he knows players down there real well. Rico Dowdle of South Carolina and Lamika Perrine of Florida. Now, I love Perrine, by the way. I love him. And if that's a young man that they can get in the 4th or 5th round, I think he can be a real NFL player.
So in your mind, all those receivers you just ripped off and that's the most, do you think Howie Roseman would use draft capital to move up to get one of the 3 big names, or Is he okay getting the fourth guy or fifth guy at 21?
Well, I think it's not the right move. Me, personally, I don't like going up to get wide receivers unless it's the guy's a surefire hit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't miss guy. And I don't see any of those guys in this draft. I just don't.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because, I'm looking through and I said, everybody's talking about the draft wide receivers and how great they are. But yet I don't see any of these guys being top 5 or even almost in the top 10. It seems like they're all going after 10. And the answer is, well, none of these guys are Calvin Johnson or Julio Jones or DeAndre Hopkins. And what you just said kind of complies with with the people that I've talked to is there's not that number 1A guy that you give up something to go get.
And Mike, the team does have needs. They need young offensive linemen. They need to get younger across the roster, younger, faster, cheaper. They're very heavy in their salary cap and older players. They're very heavy in their salary cap, obviously, with their quarterback. They had that window where they won their Super Bowl with the quarterback on the rookie deal. He didn't win it. Obviously, Nick Foles did. But that's the optimum. You want to be able to win the Super Bowl with your quarterback on the rookie deal. Or your quarterback year after year is giving you a hometown discount like Tom Brady.
Now let's transition into Tom Brady. You're a good interviewer. That's what you do. You're a great interviewer. On the sideline, you got to come up with things quick on your feet and get the moment right when they're standing there. He was interviewed by Stern the other day, and it was all over the place. I thought Stern got a lot of interesting things out. But you as a reporter and you as an interviewer, what were some of the highlights of the Brady stuff that you found out that maybe you didn't know?
Well, first of all, Mike, thank you for the compliment. It's the hardest thing that I have to do. On the fly, and you only get 45 seconds. So you got to make it good because people are pulling at you, and the PR guy's trying to get him in the locker room for the coach's speech, and somebody in your ear is telling you rap. Right. It literally is a high-pressure situation. That's not for the faint of heart. And try doing it right after the Super Bowl with the MVP. But Mike, I thought the interview was brilliant. I thought Howard Stern's interview was absolutely brilliant. He got stuff out of Brady. By the way, do you think Bill Belichick would ever allow Tom Brady to go on Howard Stern?
Never.
Never.
First thing I thought was, this is evident that the Patriots are no longer running this man's life.
Oh, yeah, and it's also evidence that he couldn't wait to get out from under the thumb. This is Tampa Tom.
Oh, yeah.
They had that defense. This is Tampa. They had that defense called the Tampa 2. This is Tampa Tom 2.0.
It's funny that you mentioned.
We should right now. You should have your producer apply for a trademark, and let's put that on a T-shirt. As heard on the Mike Gill show, Tampa Tom 2.0. Let's do it.
I love it. Because what do they call it? St. Jetersburg down there, where Jeter was living. Apparently, he's living in Jeter's house now, so it's got to be.
Oh man, that's another great T-shirt.
Yeah, so he's renting from Derek Jeter on this Jeter Island out there.
Yeah, no pets allowed, only goats. Right, greatest of all time.
How much do you feel that Arians was the reason, or is this Brady just picking where he wanted to go, or did he not have a lot of opportunity?
No, I think that Brady wanted to go to a team that had some pretty airtight defense. He knows Todd Bowles. He didn't have much success against Todd Bowles when Todd Bowles was at the Jets. So he knows that Todd Bowles can bring it. They had a top 5 defense at the end of the year. He knows that Arians is an old gun hand when it comes to dealing with quarterbacks. He's not going to be one of these guys that's going to be strident, do it my way or the highway kind of guy. He's going to whisper into this quarterback's ear, and vice versa. They're going to learn a lot from each other. So I think he knew that it would be a perfect situation. I don't think he wanted to relocate to the West Coast and face Patrick Mahomes twice a year for sure. I think he likes his chances in the NFC. Doesn't have to face Belichick until a Super Bowl. To me, listen, the way to bring back the NFL in the biggest possible way is to have the greatest Super Bowl of all time, the highest rated sporting event in American history. Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick in Super Bowl 54.
I think, and he talked about that, how cool that would be, and the fact that he did kind of, I'm rooting for those guys. They're my teammates, but that was one area you were
he's rooting for them. Tell me he doesn't want to go to the Super Bowl without Belichick and then beat Belichick in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And where's the Super Bowl? Tampa. It's in Tampa this year.
It will be the first time the hometown team played in its own stadium for a Super Bowl, and he would get a chance to beat Belichick, match wits. It is totally a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader moment.
I'll leave you with this. I don't know how much you've paid attention or watching this, but this whole Cam Newton thing, is that of intrigue to you? To me, there's the guy who was the MVP of the league and has no job and there's no opening that seems like it makes sense.
Totally. It totally makes sense. And, as I said to you last year at the end of the year, and you remember about it a couple of times, we're playing option football. If you don't have Tom Brady, your quarterback better be able to move.
And they're going with Stidham. Can he move?
A little bit.
I don't know. Is there an outside thought that they could pull something off on draft night for like a Dak Prescott or a Watson?
Ooh, you mean the Patriots?
Yes.
Well, you mean Deshaun Watson traded from Houston?
Bill O'Brien seems like he's in a very perky mood. Just, hey, let's make a deal, everybody.
Wow, I have not heard that one. I have not heard that one at all. I think Bill Belichick, listen, the way Belichick has operated for the last 20 years in New England is he got his quarterback in the 6th round. Then he used a lot of movable parts, a lot of spare parts at wide receiver, running back, defensive line, linebacker, safety. The only constant has been his corners. He's had good, solid corners and good, solid pass rushers. Other than that, he's moved guys around. He's made do with what he's had. And he's got a 6th-round quarterback that turned into gold.
Who took less money many times to allow that to happen.
Many times, right. So I don't see him, bottom line, as investing in a big market value quarterback that ruins the salary cap for the rest of the team. He wants that maneuverability and the ability to make what he can at what he has. From what he has.
Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash, having a little fun on this Friday. Are you watching anything on Netflix? What are you doing to pass the time?
Well, I'm working. We're having our matchup show, a virtual matchup show. Greg Cosell will be home. Matt Bowen will be at his home. I will be in my home studio that ESPN has built for me. And we are taping 2 shows a week from today, next Friday. We'll see how it goes. 3 people in 3 different houses.
Yep.
With the control room in charge at NFL Films, with oversight from Bristol, Connecticut. And the first show is supposed to air tomorrow night. Knock on wood, spit, pray to the baby Jesus that will happen. It'll get on TV next Friday night, and have re-airs all next weekend. And then show number 2 will air a week from Monday, right before the draft, and re-air all during draft week. So you can look for the matchup show, and you can look for us, obviously, on social media, on Twitter at NFL Matchup, and at Sal Pal ESPN on Instagram.
There you go. All right, Sal Pal Friday here. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, the quarantine time, and we will try to catch up before the draft. Okay, brother. Sounds good. Everyone there have a good, safe holiday weekend, and do the right thing. We'll get out of this. Yeah, man. That's Sal Paolantonio, Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. You heard the message, everybody. Stay home this weekend. Let's just stay home this weekend. Let's hope we can stay home for just a couple more weekends and pull through this thing. As Sal mentioned here, he thinks that football is going to be back. The messages, from Roger Goodell, I guess yesterday was, hey, we're still going through. We're going to try to get through this and play football games in September.